It has been conducted annually since 1934 and is played every year on golf's grandest stage.
Capture the hearts and minds of everyone on the grounds here today. What a prince this young man has turned out to be.
It's the place where great players become legends.
Ben Crenshaw has won the Masters for a second time. He's been holding back the emotion, keeping him in check all week until now.
And legends are immortalized.
Arnold Palmer is the Masters champion of 1960. And there it is, new Masters record in history here at Augusta.
Those who triumph at the Masters and earn the fabled green jacket cement their place in golfing history. But just outside the spotlight, the sport that demands so much are those who help pull the threads together, so quietly crucial in creating the foundation from which legends ascend.
PGA professionals are the heroes of the game of golf.
The dedicated coaches and instructors who shape and mold the clay of golfing talent into champions.
Yes, sir!
I was fortunate to have a fellow like Jack Grout enter my life when I was 10 years old. He taught me all the fundamentals of the game.
I learned everything in the game of golf from my father at that young age. They were things that I couldn't forget if I wanted to.
The Masters, building a champion. Hello, everyone. I'm Bill McAtee, and welcome to The Masters, building a champion. The remarkable stories of competition, heartbreak, and triumph that we watch unfold every spring on the lush fairways and greens of the Augusta National Golf Club have come to help define the Masters in ways that transcend golf and even sports. And just as the iconic stage where the Masters is held every year was a collaboration between Bobby Jones, Dr. Alistair McKenzie, and Clifford Roberts, so too are the collaborations that produce the remarkable skills that we see on display during Masters competition. Untold hours of work and practice, the unique relationship between PGA professional and student that all come together in those moments of pressure that define a Masters champion. It's a relationship with roots going back to 1916, when a group of New York area golfers gathered to form a national organization to promote the game. They called their 82-member organization the PGA of America, and today it has grown into the largest sports organization in the world, comprised of more than 28,000 men and women. Among the original members was Scottish immigrant James Maiden, whose brother Stuart also made the trek from the old country. He taught at East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta. It was there where he would introduce the game of golf to a precocious 6-year-old named Bobby Jones.
Bob Jones elevated the craft of the game by his demeanor, by the way he carried himself, and also by the way he later in life extended his interest with the club professionals and the PGA professionals at the time. He was able to draw in some of those great teachers and players into the field of the very first Masters.
One of those great teachers was Claude Harmon. Harmon was a prodigy, winning titles and qualifying for the U.S. Amateur at the age of 15. Eventually, he was the head golf professional at New York's famed Winged Foot, as well as the winter professional at Seminole.
Claude was a great player, and he learned from guys like Craig Wood and Byron Nelson and Ben Hogan.
We got to play a little bit at Winged Foot, the assistants did, and I'd play him. If I paid him off what I owe him, I'd be broke, because he beat me every day.
Harmon was mentored by two of golf's most important figures, 1941 Masters champion Craig Wood, and three-time Masters winner Ben Hogan.
So when he went to work with Craig Wood, that changed his life as being a very, very competent golf professional.
In 1948, Harmon stopped off in Augusta on his way from his winter job at Seminole to his summer position at Winged Foot. It was a fateful decision that would change his life.
Claude had a knack and became known as a teacher. Claude taught kings and presidents, and so in 1948, even though it was odd that primarily a club pro would go out and win the Masters, he had the caliber of game to go do that.
When he was leading the Masters after 54 holes, a reporter asked Ben Hogan, "Are you surprised that this club pro's leading the Masters?" And Mr. Hogan said, "No, he's been beating me every day at Seminole for the last month."
On Masters Sunday, Harman seized firm control of the tournament. He won by 5 and tied the then Masters scoring record of 279, beating Hogan by 10, Lord Byron by 11, and Sam Snead by 15. While many touring pros of that era were associated with and employed by various clubs, Claude Harman is considered to be the only true club professional to ever win the Masters.
Claude winning the Masters in 1948 was a tremendous moment for the PGA, obviously, that because he bridged the gap between the playing professional and the teaching professional.
If you look at it on Claude's staff, let's just take one player, was Jackie Burke. Now, Claude won the Masters in 48. Jackie Burke won the PGA later and the Masters in 56. This was one of what they used to call Claude's boys.
You know, Dad never took credit for what his people did. He would always say, geez, I never hit those shots. I may have helped them. I think he took great pride in mentoring them as a young man and made them gentlemen.
This is the Masters Tournament, 1958. And this is Jim McKay speaking from our CBS Vantage Point at the 18th green of the National Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia.
In 1958, television viewers got to witness the final 3 holes of the Masters in glorious black and white. It was just the 3rd time the tournament had been televised.
We're seeing on the 17th, Arnold Palmer hitting his 2nd shot.
As CBS picked up the action on 17, the cameras locked in on a charismatic force that would bring the game into the modern media era.
When television combined to bring in Arnold Palmer, a new star was born, and we were enraptured by watching that figure go up straight up the fairways, hitching his pants.
It's the perfect storm of Arnold being Arnold and television being television and the Masters being the Masters. Brought the game to millions more people like nobody ever had before.
He did it. Arnold Palmer comes in with a round of 73 for a total of 284.
I enjoyed the challenge of thinking that maybe I could someday play as well as Byron Nelson or Ben Hogan and be a golfer of some note. And that was the way I conducted my life, keeping in mind what my father had taught me all the way when I was a young boy.
His televised Masters win in 58 would captivate the country. He would go on to don the green jacket a total of 4 times, capturing 7 majors altogether. His appeal was unique. He was not just Arnold Palmer, the swashbuckling Masters champion. He was accessible. He was one of us.
He really did achieve levels outside the golf course that you would think would have come from athletes in other sports. He was every man, and he's still our icon.
And behind this budding icon of the sport was the man who molded and taught him the game. His father, Milford Jerome Deacon Palmer.
You made the rules. I didn't make them.
No, you've been breaking them.
Who?
You.
Why? One. Name one.
Oh, go and look at number 8 fairway.
Deacon Palmer contracted polio as a child, and he learned to play the game that would become his life's work by sheer will. As a teenager in the 1920s, he worked on the construction of Latrobe Country Club. He became ground superintendent in 1926 and was named golf professional in 1932.
Extremely hard worker. He instilled that digging it out of the dirt aspect and then instilling all those qualities into his son, who became one of the greatest figures in this country.
When I was approaching 2 years old, my father had to take me to work with him to get me out of the house. And I hung around the golf course and the guys working on the golf course. And my father cut down some old wooden shafted golf clubs, and I had the opportunity to use them on the golf course, and it was a natural. Even at 2 years old, as soon as I got old enough for my father to put my hands on the club properly, he said, "Now, boy, you remember that, and don't you ever change that grip." And that was my grip, and that's the same grip I use today.
When Arnie wanted to know something about his game, he always came to me. I never went to Arnold.
Arnold was so loyal to his father. I would make suggestions to Arnold. Other people make suggestions to Arnold. It was like, throwing water on a duck's back. It just rolled off. He paid no attention to anybody else, whatever his father said. And I think that worked for Arnold very, very well.
He did that whirly-bird finish because the club didn't turn over, but he trusted. Look how the ball's flying. And this is what my dad told me. And he just had that rock-bottom faith in the way he learned.
He loved his son, and he stayed in the background and did what he needed to do to help Arnold, and Arnold responded kindly in the right way.
The birdie try, up and up and up and up and in!
From that first moment when a 2-year-old Arnold went to work with his dad, Deacon Palmer remained the greatest influence in his son's life. Arnold Palmer's extraordinary success on the fairways and greens of the Augusta National Golf Club linked directly back to the lessons taught early on by his father.
It was the thrill of my life, just to be there and to have an opportunity to win. It got to me. I always felt like I was very fortunate to have won a few times and to have the opportunity to play at Augusta as often as I did. I put on that green jacket.
In honor of Deacon Palmer, the PGA of America in 2014 established the Deacon Palmer Award, an award given annually to the PGA professional who personally displays outstanding integrity, character, and leadership in an effort to overcome a major obstacle in his or her life.
He taught me the manners of the game, etiquette, and it was something that I stuck with me all through my life.
For even the greatest players, simply competing in the Masters is memorable. Winning a pinnacle of any career.
And there it is, a new Masters record in history here at Augusta.
For Jack Nicklaus, his victories at the Masters have become the standard. Winning in Augusta 6 times, spanning 3 decades.
Yes, sir!
While Jack's natural talent was apparent and undeniable at an early age, he was also fortunate to learn the fundamentals at Scioto Country Club in Columbus, Ohio, where the head golf professional was a man named Jack Grout.
It was his first year at Scioto in 1950, and I was 10 years old. He started us off with fundamentals, and by the second or third week, he says, Jackie boy, come out here and hit the ball up in there for these guys. Come out here and, Jackie boy, show these guys how to take a divot. He sort of obviously saw something in me. By midsummer, my dad was complaining about the number of buckets I was hitting at Scioto at 35 cents a bucket. How did we get a bill for $300? Pretty soon the bill for the balls stopped, the bills for the lessons stopped, and Jack Grout, he says he didn't care what it was, he wanted to help.
Jack Nicklaus never wavered in his devotion to his teacher. Throughout his career, the pair would convene at the beginning of every golf season for a ground-up evaluation of fundamentals, tweaking and fine-tuning as needed.
I started playing in the springtime. I started with grip, stance, posture, boom, just like I was a beginner. I did that when I was 40 years old.
Jack Grout first found golf in 1918 as an 8-year-old caddy at the Oklahoma City Country Club. At 20, he found a teaching position at Glen Garden Country Club in Fort Worth, where he met a couple of teenagers named Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson.
Jack Grout had played with Byron Nelson and Ben Hogan growing up. He'd seen what really great players do, and he thought, okay, if I got a guy like this who has got every gift, let's make sure he plays the way that's going to give him the best advantage to win as many championships as he can.
Jack Grout was a former caddy. He lived in the era of the self-taught player, and then he became a man who developed his craft, as the great other teachers of the early part of the 20th century did.
Grout believed each golfer was best served by his God-given instincts and natural athletic ability, and understanding one's swing was key.
Open up those V's now. That's got to feel better.
I think Jack Grout and Jack Nicklaus, that's the model. Jack Grout had a guy who loved competition and was super athletic, and so he loved to work, and he loved to play, and he loved to win. And Jack Grout got out of his way.
That was the greatness. When Nicklaus came out, everybody said, well, I can't believe he's that good a player. We were all taught to keep our right elbow almost against your body. And here was Jack with an elbow up.
My golf swing was my golf swing. And Grout didn't try to teach me a swing that wasn't mine. You can make a little bit of adjustments here, but his swing is his swing. Because you can't keep making artificial moves and expect them to last under pressure.
Jack Grout could really school fundamentals. And there were three things that he really emphasized. One was head position.
Larry Glosser was his assistant, and Larry was down there for hours, and I just hit balls. Larry held on to my hair. And I mean, I hit thousands of balls with somebody holding my head, so I've always had a steady head.
The second thing was proper footwork, and that involved the rolling of the ankles.
I think it's brilliant. If you really think about it, his feet move beautifully underneath him.
One of the other principles was to hit the ball on the upswing, and he wanted to get a lot of height. Jack would stop the ball with height, not with spin. He would hit these high soaring 3-irons that nobody else could hit. They'd come down like a duck with sore feet.
And he's got a chance. He's got a very, very good chance.
Jack Grout was the greatest psychologist I've ever been around, and I watched him teach Nicklaus.
That looked better. That sounded better.
Boy, how good are you hitting? Man, that looks great. Nobody can beat you. I mean, he just fed you, and when he walked off, man, where's the first tee?
With the lessons of Jack Grout always within reach, the Golden Bear accumulated 6 green jackets, 18 majors overall, and 2 U.S. Amateur Championships, along with 118 victories around the world.
I was fortunate to have a fellow like Jack Grout enter my life when I was 10 years old. He taught me all the fundamentals of the game. He stayed with me. I don't know whether Jack Grout was the best teacher in the world. It wasn't important. What was most important is that Jack Grout cared about his pupil. That was me.
From about 60 feet. Slow now. But that's one of the greatest putts I've ever seen.
It's impossible to talk about 2-time Masters champion Ben Crenshaw without mentioning Harvey Penick. 2 of the game's greatest gentlemen were inseparable from the time Ben was 7 years old until Harvey's passing in 1995.
I was 7 years old, and my brother was 8. Harvey cut down an old mashie, a 5-iron, for me, and he made a little 3-iron for Charlie. So those were our 2 clubs. So that's how we started.
Ben was just growing up then, but I can remember coming back to the golf shop, and Daddy said, that little boy, he's going to be something.
Harvey Penick was one of the game's most famous and prolific instructors. He taught for nearly 7 decades, coaching the University of Texas golf team for 33 years, serving as the head golf professional at Austin Country Club for 50.
One of the legendary golf instructors of all time, taught some of the true greats of the game. Ben Crenshaw, Tom Kite, Kathy Whitworth, Betsy Rawls. Really an incredible teacher and an incredible record.
Like many teachers of his era, Harvey's introduction to the game came in a caddy yard, where his love of the sport was born.
Harvey grew up in very lean times, and he began caddying at Austin Country Club. And Harvey knew at a very young age that golf was going to be his life.
As an instructor, Harvey took a simple but unique approach to the game.
When a new player met Harvey for the first time, an interesting dynamic took place. They didn't go directly to the range.
He said, all right, let's go get a cup of coffee. I want to sit down and talk, and I want to learn what you think that you want to achieve in golf. And he was dissecting you, basically like a doctor. What I prescribe to you, I'm not going to prescribe to somebody else.
Famously, the Ben Crenshaw lesson when he was a boy was to give him a sleeve of balls and turn him loose on the golf course. Ben didn't want to know why a golf swing worked. Tom Kite wanted to know why a golf swing worked.
Tom Kite was very analytical and a practicer, and Harvey knew his work ethic from a young age. So he kept Tom on the practice tee, and he told me to go play.
The two were completely different. Crenshaw played, Kite practiced.
Ben would ultimately achieve success at every level. But early on in his pro career, the burden of expectations were almost overwhelming.
There was a lot of pressure on Ben at that point because when he came out, I mean, he was going to be the next Nicklaus.
Ben was struggling in the 80s, and he had just returned from one of the majors where he had missed the cut badly. He came back to Harvey. He wanted to know what he needed to do. And they just talked, and they figured out, like, what Ben really loved about golf, and had he lost that?
Harvey, he said, just trust your ability. Trust your ability.
Come on.
He said, it's good enough. And he made me believe that.
Yes, indeed.
When Ben did that in 1984, it was validation of everything he had ever believed in Ben.
After 5 runner-up finishes in majors, Ben Crenshaw had finally broken through. It was especially fitting that breakthrough came at his favorite tournament. 11 years after Seve Ballesteros slipped the green jacket over his shoulders, heading into the Masters in 1995, Ben seemed to be struggling. And then, with the first round only days away, came the devastating news that his longtime mentor and friend had passed away.
It was a shock. You know, Tom called me and he said, Harvey just passed away. And I was at Augusta Sunday night before the week because I'd missed the cut in New Orleans. Then I'm shattered Sunday night.
What transpired next on the historic grounds of Augusta National is forever etched in Masters lore.
Monday, of all things, my caddy, Carl Jackson, mentioned a couple of things. I swear to goodness, it was like Harvey crawled into Carl's body because he said a couple of things that just made sense. You know, I started hitting this solid and confidence just grew.
Despite the emotions of the week, Ben collected himself to shoot a solid opening round of 70. Followed with scores of 67 and 69. On Sunday, he was in the final pairing. On the opening 9, Ben was steady, playing again under control, keeping his welling emotions at bay. With Davis Love keeping the pressure on, Ben had this putt for birdie and the outright lead.
Who didn't know that?
He followed with another pivotal birdie on 17.
Yes!
And after I made the birdie on 17, I teed off on 18. Started going down the hill, and I said, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I still don't know what made me not think of that.
Ben Crenshaw has won the Masters for a second time. He's been holding back the emotion, keeping them in check all week until now.
I just realized that I was a recipient. The Lord was honoring him through me. I can't look at it any other way.
The 1995 Masters remains the most inexplicable 4 rounds of golf, I think, in the history of the game.
It wasn't really a sports story. It was metaphysical. I mean, there was something bigger than all of us going on. Ben liked to say that he had a 15th club in the bag, and that was Harvey.
No greater tribute to the man he loved, Harvey Penick.
His is one of the most remarkable stories in golf. An improbable rise from a child of poverty to a 2-time major champion. Growing up on the hard streets of Cordoba, Argentina, Angel Cabrera was left with his grandparents at the age of 4 when his parents could no longer afford to raise him.
He grew up in a very bad situation, and he had to fend for himself when he was a young kid.
O sea, es lo que me tocó. Nací de una familia pobre y crecí así.
Going to bed at night and it's winter and you lay down in bed and you don't have a cover to put over yourself. You got to be pretty tough.
At 10, Angel became a caddy at the Cordoba Golf Club. His reasons were practical. A love of the game would have to wait.
En ese momento no pensaba en el juego, yo pensaba en el trabajo, no pensaba que podía jugar, no pensaba que podía vivir jugando. Tenía que trabajar, no queda otro, si no trabajaba no comía.
By coincidence, Angel's future coach, Charlie Epps, had also been introduced to the game at the same club 20 years earlier. In 1954, Charlie's father moved the family from Michigan to Argentina, where he worked for Kaiser Motor Company.
The only thing that really was around was golf, and I just gravitated towards the game and got pretty good as a youngster, and I ended up being a golf pro in the Army.
It wasn't until 1992, however, when Charlie would meet the young man from his old club who was just starting to make a name for himself.
He was a caddy, but he was winning all the Monday tournaments, and so he had already established a reputation.
Hey, bueno, yo tenía 17 años cuando jugué mi primer abierto del centro. Y pasé el corte y ahí yo pensé que tenía que trabajar para vivir el golf.
And in 1992, a friend of mine says, Charlie, I've made a lot of money. I want to help some guys. There's two guys I want you to pick between one. One was Angel Cabrera. So I went and watched him, and long story short, I picked the other guy. So in 2007, his manager and he decided they need some help with putting. So they asked me who I knew that would help him. And I said, I'm not going to make this mistake again. I said, I will help him.
Cabrera began working with Epps in the spring of 2007, and the results were immediate.
It's time for the lead.
Just months later, Cabrera captured the U.S. Open at Oakmont.
Talk about fortuitous. I mean, here's a guy, a Texas guy, just happens to be in Argentina, and Angel Cabrera, you know, kind of a lost soul with all this physical talent, you know, again, destiny.
Coming into the 09 Masters, Cabrera seemed to be fighting his game. He had missed the cut in Houston just 2 weeks earlier. But surprisingly, Angel was feeling confident.
Yo le dije a Charlie, bueno, vamos a trabajar porque algo bueno está por venir, vamos a ganar algo bueno, algo grande. Y esa semana, fin de semana, me quedé trabajando, practicando mucho aquí.
He grabbed my shoulder and said, let's go win a major.
The 2009 Masters was a battle throughout, with no one player able to seize control in regulation. After 72 holes, it would come down to a three-way playoff between Cabrera, Kenny Perry, and Chad Campbell. On the first extra hole, Cabrera's tee shot missed the fairway to the right. But then the fates seemed to intercede as his second shot took an improbable bounce.
A lot of limbs in there. Contact. Back just middle of the fairway.
Cabrera was able to save par and continue. Then on the second playoff hole, destiny arrived with 2 putts to become the first man from South America to win the Masters.
Cabrera takes the green jacket.
Ese era para mí un sueño cumplido, sobre todo cuando lo empecé a jugar al máster, lo veía y digo, qué lindo que algún día te pongan el saco, ¿no? Y bueno, me tocó.
Growing up a world away in Iowa, a son of the Midwest has almost quietly put together one of the most impressive careers of his generation.
Zach is an athlete. I mean, he doesn't always look like the most imposing guy, but he might be one of the best all-around athletes on the tour. He knows how to play, he knows how to win.
Since his rookie season in 2004, when Zach captured his first PGA Tour win, his 12 official victories are surpassed only by Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Vijay Singh. And since his 07 victory in Augusta, only Tiger and Phil have totaled more victories than Zach. Surprisingly, golf was not Zach's first love when it came to sports.
I love team sports. When I was probably 14 or 15, you know, the ones that I really put a lot of time and energy into kind of passed me by. Golf picked me, is really what it boils down to.
After a quiet college career and limited success on the mini tours, Zach knew he would need help to get to the next level and compete on the PGA Tour. He turned to a fellow Midwesterner who grew up just 47 miles down the road, teaching professional Mike Bender.
Mike was a really good technician, knows the golf swing inside out, didn't have the greatest physical talent, but like a lot of guys who become managers in the major leagues, you know, second string catchers, guys who study the game because they had to, and he became very sophisticated about technique. He knows the golf machine, he knows it inside out, he knows how to teach.
Identifying and understanding Zach's tendencies, Bender helped him reconstruct his swing, all the while thinking that Zach's short game could be the missing ingredient.
He had some raw things in his golf swing that weren't necessarily bad, but they could use a little refinement. And Mike, without totally tearing him apart, just got him to match up his plane and his posture, and just got something that he could repeat. Then Zach, who is not the longest hitter, just learned how to max everything that he's got.
That's great part about the game of golf is that you don't have to hit it 350 to compete. If you can drive the ball on the PGA Tour in play, and you have a good wedge game, and you got a pretty good putter, you can play well out here.
That strategy would begin to pay dividends. In 2003, Zach topped the money list on the Web.com tour, earning an automatic promotion to the PGA Tour.
It just gave me immense confidence and verified and validated exactly what we're trying to do fundamentally, what I'm trying to do in the gym, I mean, everything.
Heading into the 2007 Masters, few considered 31-year-old Zach Johnson among the favorites, but weather played a role in the outcome that year, and also played directly into the hands of Johnson, who ignored tradition by laying up on all the par fives, but still playing them for the week at 11 under.
That was all about plotting a golf course that, while other guys are trying to pull off difficult shots, made more difficult run from the conditions. It was like, okay, I knuckleball it down the fairway and I hit the nickel in the right spot, and if I wedge it in, if I keep getting it inside 10 feet, boom.
He knew he was going to have to lay up on most of them, and it turned out on all of them. So there was an overall strategy there that he really stuck to for the whole week.
And I just went out there, played free golf, and saw a couple putts drop early, and then off I went.
Tied for fourth coming into Sunday's final round, Zach seized the moment with 3 birdies over the final 6 holes to beat Tiger by 2.
Surreal is the only thing I can explain. And it was just a moment where you feel taller, you feel a little bit bigger, but yet you almost feel like weight was lifted off your shoulders.
To make up for his lack of length and to be able to make pars from anywhere, Zach had to be an incredible wedge player, and that's what he became, and there was never a better example of it than Augusta in 2007.
That was just a phenomenal moment. I can't tell you how big that was, and to see it happen there was phenomenal.
Not an easy shot here to get up and down.
Goodness gracious. With his memorable victory at the 2013 John Deere Classic, 19-year-old rookie Jordan Spieth became the youngest PGA Tour winner in 82 years, serving notice of the extraordinary things to come.
There's no question in my mind that Jordan was born to play golf, and he has a different way of playing the game. He has strength of mind and purpose at every part of his game.
Even at the age of 12, Jordan was thinking well ahead, displaying a perspective and maturity well beyond his years.
I was trying to find somebody who could really take me to the next level, and I was scheduled to meet with 2 or 3 different really good teaching professionals in the area. The first one we went to was Cameron. I was, I think, 12 turning 13 that summer, and we actually did a lot of talking. It was different than I would have thought at the time.
Cameron McCormick, a native Australian, had found his way to Lubbock, Texas to join the golf team at Texas Tech. Upon graduation in 1997, Cameron bypassed life on the tour to focus his attention on becoming a PGA professional.
He wants to know your goals when you're a young junior going in to see him, so that way he can then figure out, hey, are we going to make minor tweaks, or are we going to do stuff that's going to be a swing that you can produce under pressure in the highest pressure situations in the game? And I quickly kind of came up with my favorite tournaments I ever wanted to win and accolades, and we started to build a plan.
The minute he sat down and expressed and
desire to win the Masters, he caught my attention, and he said it with a steely look in his eyes that caused me to buy in immediately. And then beyond that, it was just become one of the best players that ever lived.
Under Cameron's tutelage, Jordan became a heralded junior and accepted an invitation to play in his first PGA Tour event at the AT&T Byron Nelson while still in high school. Upon graduation, Jordan went to the University of Texas, where he was an All-American, helping the Longhorns win the 2012 NCAA championship as a freshman. In 2013, midway through his sophomore year in Austin, Jordan made the decision to turn pro, once again with the counsel of his teacher.
He waited until I kind of came to him and asked his thoughts, and then offered very insightful responses to my questions, and really put full trust in me that I already accomplished my goals in amateur and college golf. Now going forward, do you think my game's ready? And he was maybe more confident than I was in it at the time, and it really maybe took me over the edge to just take a gamble on myself. Cameron really knows how to read me. I just have full confidence going in that when I come out of that lesson, I can now go on to practicing, to playing, and understand what tendencies I get into, how to fix them.
With his win at the John Deere, Jordan had earned an invitation to play in his first Masters. At the age of 20, as a Masters rookie, he made a profound statement. In the final pairing on Sunday, he battled eventual champion Bubba Watson. With his temperament and game so well suited for the fairways and greens of Augusta, Jordan was ready 12 months later when, at the age of 21, he teed it up to make a second run at the Green Jacket.
Just go.
Jordan opened with an emphatic 64 and seized immediate control of the tournament. He never looked back. Earning the Green Jacket and shattering records along the way.
One of the epic performances in the annals of the sport.
After Augusta, Jordan continued building an extraordinary season, winning one more major at the U.S. Open, finishing #1 in the official World Golf Rankings, and was unanimously named Player of the Year.
I've commented a lot on television in the last couple of years. It's like, wow, pin high again, and again, and again. I mean, that doesn't happen by accident.
My goals now consist of trying to win the career Grand Slam, being a complete golfer, winning at the highest stage from every single organization.
He comes to me as a guide or a mentor in this process and asks, what do I need to do to get there? And I provide him the best counsel, the best guidance I possibly can.
I really, really do feel very blessed to have Cameron at my side and as the major part of my team.
Savor the moment, Justin. You are a PGA Tour winner for the very first time.
By virtue of his win this past fall in Malaysia, Justin Thomas qualified for his very first Masters. Growing up in Kentucky, Justin represents 3 generations of PGA professionals. Almost from the time he could walk, Justin learned the game from his father, Mike Thomas, the head golf professional at Harmony Landing outside of Louisville, and from his grandfather, Paul Thomas, who was the head professional at Zanesville Country Club in Ohio.
I've always loved the game. I've always enjoyed it. I've literally played my whole life. So, my parents said I think I was 18 months when I started.
He was successful at every stage that he went through junior golf. I think at the AJGA, when he started doing some things that were above and beyond, turning rounds around and great finishes, like to win the FootJoy Invitational.
Winning the FootJoy Invitational was awesome, and it was a good field, and I hadn't really done anything at the top kind of national stage as a junior. For me to win that and get into the Wyndham when I was 16 was really, really cool.
When he played in the Wyndham Invitational at age 16, shot 65 in the first round, that obviously takes more than just a golf swing to do that, but really to have the heart and the stomach and the mind to be able to compete at that level and to be able to do it at age 16, that was pretty impressive.
As a 16-year-old, Justin was the 3rd youngest ever to make the cut in a PGA Tour event. Justin and reigning Masters champion Jordan Spieth are contemporaries, having competed on almost every level. It was Justin who edged out Jordan and was named College Player of the Year in 2012, and would go on to lead the University of Alabama to the NCAA title in 2013.
I think right now what's going on with Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, some young kids, the continuity, the consistency that these guys have had the same coach for years. Justin Thomas, Dad's a PGA of America. He's a club professional. When you talk to Mike and you talk to Justin, there's such an easy, yes, they're father and son, but as student and teacher, there's such a confidence in each other.
Like his friend Jordan, Justin also left college his sophomore year in 2013 to turn his focus full-time to golf.
When he came on the PGA Tour last year, for his rookie season, he got off to good starts. I think that takes a lot of pressure off the player to say, okay, yeah, I can do this.
The 100% can win the Masters. I expect to. I understand it takes a lot of preparation and a lot of reps on that course, and that's what I've been trying to do. Obviously, it takes a special week to be in contention and have a chance to win.
Like Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas represents a new generation of young players, confident and eager to make their mark on the game. But it's worth noting that there are even younger players on the fairways and greens of Augusta National every spring, young golfing prodigies who annually now get the chance to test their skills at the game's greatest venue in the drive, chip, and putt competition.
Having a chance to be at Augusta, walk the grounds of Augusta, as a kid, you can't get any better than that. What a thrill that would have been at a young age for me. Now it's a thrill as an adult.
Founded in 2013, Drive, Chip, and Putt is a joint initiative by the Masters, the PGA of America, and the USGA. This free nationwide junior golf development program is aimed at growing golf by focusing on the three fundamental skills of the game, mixed with a dash of fun and the excitement and thrill of playing on a course where legends are made.
Drive, Chip, and Putt has been fantastic. I think it's really important to create an overall experience for them that is positive, fun, and inviting so that they can continue to play the sport in the coming years.
Fantastic initiative, and it's already done good things for the game of golf. I think it's going to have a huge impact on the game in the United States. And then potentially internationally, I can't imagine what it'd be like to be a 10-year-old kid putting on the 18th green at Augusta National.
From the most prolific Masters champion Jack Nicklaus to the PGA professional behind Jordan Spieth, the most recent winner of the green jacket, to perhaps future Masters champion competing in the annual Drive, Chip, and Putt. Each story is unique, but a common thread is that we get to watch the results of their efforts every spring on the greatest stage in the game. I'm Bill McAtee. Thank you for joining us for the Masters, Building a Champion.